northwest corner here, frame by frame, with the software, all the way down. And here is halfway down. And I have to throw in some physics here, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't hurt. So, and here, if you plot the velocity, the speed versus time, you'll get this straight line here, and it's going downwards because the building is going down. So we're going towards negative values here of the speed. This is the time in seconds. Now, the lesson here is that the speed is increasing constantly. This is a straight line. And you may not appreciate the physics, but the conclusion is unanimous. Here, for about 2.5 seconds, building, the speed is increasing constantly. What does this mean? This means that the acceleration is constant. And what does it mean that the speed is constantly increasing? Well, I asked Sir Isaac Newton, who knows. He wrote a book in 1687 about how things move, and this book is maybe the most important book in the history of physics, at least. And he told us that this is free fall. And also, you can derive from his equation a formula according to which the height is proportional to the square of the time. And there is a constant which is called the gravitational constant, or speed of acceleration. So I took my pocket calculator some time ago and made a little calculation. It's very easy. How long time does it take for something to drop 2 meters? And I'll make a little demonstration with my hairbrush. Don't worry, it has tried it many times before. And because I came out with 0.6 seconds. So what I'll do now is that I'll count to 4. But I'll release my brush on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the brush hit the floor before I reached 4. And if somebody had been fast with the stopwatch, it would have come up with 0.66 seconds. And when the brush fell, there was nothing to stop it. And this is the same conclusion we reach regarding Building-7. If somebody was standing on the 47th floor holding a ball or an apple or a stone out of the window and releasing the stone at the same time as they themselves, stupid idiot, began falling, the stone would reach the ground at the same time. Here is a little video illustrating this. This is free fall here, the ball here. Doesn't run.
The ball has started to drop, yet 7 World Trade is still above the starting line. At the 1 second mark, 7 World Trade and the ball are still even. Seven World Trade indeed falls 100 meters in 4.5 seconds.
What we are doing now is that we are collecting data. We are making observations. And what have we seen regarding the collapse of Building-7? We have seen that it's following free fall for at least 2.5 seconds. We have seen that the whole building starts to move suddenly. And the entire building, Building-7 fell completely symmetrically and it went all the way down. There's nothing left after it has fallen down. And should we remind ourselves that there were 2 airliners, ladies and gentlemen, but there were 3 skyscrapers. Building-7 was not hit by an airline. If we have to solve this problem, we have to learn about and consider how Building-7 was constructed. And it's the same design as that of the towers, but in this case, there was a core of 24 sturdy core columns here, and a periphery of 57 perimeter columns. And they are connected horizontally with girders, of course, in a framework. And the floors are lined like bookshelves between the horizontal girders here on the core columns and the horizontal girders, the steel beams out here. The floors did not support anything. All the weight is carried by the columns, about 60 to 70% of the core columns and the rest of the perimeter columns. And I return to the two pictures I showed you in the start to give you an impression of these columns, what we're talking about. I do not have a picture of Building-7 under construction. We have a building of the towers. And you see here, as I repeat, there were more columns in the towers because they were more than twice the height. And also, they're more conservative at that time because it was a really new design in the 60s to do this. So it's very conservative. It was a very sturdy building, actually. And but what is interesting, this is a construction worker, so you get, this is a so-called box columns. Some of the columns are solid all the way up. These are the perimeter columns, which was collected in 3x3 and welded together here. Actually, the welding parts is stronger than themselves, and the perimeter columns were especially very strong steel. This is a floor beam, a floor section. And we'll see this closer up here. It was a little bit important how they were constructed. There was a framework, a loose framework of steel underneath here, and then a thin steel plate lying on top of it, and on top of the steel plate there was a slab of concrete to a height of about between 10 and 18 centimeters, depending whatever this floor was designed to carry. And they are just lying, as you see here, on seats, and not supporting anything. So the imagination actually that the towers were a stable of discs is completely wrong. The towers were vertical structures, and the floors were just there because otherwise it would be a very bad project financially. So they have to carry something. The view is brilliant, of course, and I think there's not much more to say about this. Returning to Building-7, the framework here. Here you see what the face of Building-7 looked like. And this is like a mosquito net. But what happens to a mosquito net if you punch a hole in it? Nothing happens. Maybe the mosquitoes can fly in and out. But the net is still there. And if you, this is Building-7 viewed from the south, where the cartoonist has removed all walls and windows, and what remains here is what we call this framework that the children is climbing up into the park. Okay, but this is such a thing to a height of 186 meters, completely connected. The framework, very tight framework, completely connected of girders, and this is the challenge for us to understand how this could break down. Now, the first place where you would expect all this event to happen, where you would expect an explanation for accounting for all this, would be the 9/11 Commission, the political commission, which actually was rather late in being established. Extraordinary, it took a very long time to do that. But here we see these 9 gentlemen and this lady, and we don't have to bother much about this, because this report, there is no mention of Building-7. It's just mentioned with one single word in the official account.